Well, there have been emotional reunions in Israel as well, as captives held by Hamas since October 7th have returned home. That's 9-year-old Irish-Israeli Emily Hand running to hug her father. The Israeli military incorrectly told Emily's father her body had been found weeks ago. The second girl is 13-year-old Hila Rotem Shashani, who was also released, but her mother remains in captivity. Well, thousands also gathered in Tel Aviv to welcome home those released by Hamas. Al Jazeera's Sarah Hayrat reports.
They came full of hope, but that soon disappeared when several hours passed with no sign of Hamas handing over 13 captives to the Red Cross to then be brought back to Israel. Only in its second day, a ceasefire agreement all of a sudden seemed to hang in the balance as an estimated 100,000 people rallied in Tel Aviv, calling for the release of all captives held in Gaza.
The road is still long, and the strength of our family is in its unity and mutual responsibility for the release of all the hostages, young, old, Israeli and foreign, soldiers, civilians, women and children, all of them now.
But word spread fast of Hamas delaying the release of the second group of captives until its conditions of allowing aid trucks to reach people desperately in need in northern Gaza were met.
Out of 200 trucks, we did not reach till now 70 trucks. Also, according to the release of the prisoners, we believe that the Israelis are manipulating the issue. We will stand against that, and we are still waiting the response of the mediators.
With Qatar and Egypt quick to resolve the differences, Israel's army spokesman called them loopholes and had this to add.
We are screening all the trucks that contain aid from the US, Egypt and UN. According to the clause, this is done with the Constitution of the UN. The arrival of those trucks for both the North and the South is done through humanitarian organizations.
For the families of those being released, the wait was soon over when video was shown live on TV showing 13 Israelis and 4 Thai nationals cross into Egypt from Gaza through the Rafah border crossing. The released captives, mostly from the southern town of Be'eri, which bore the brunt of the October 7 Hamas attack, are now in Israel. And their communities say that some of the children have been split up from family members still stuck in Gaza. As relatives of the captives thanked the crowds for their support, they said they'll remain cautiously optimistic until all of their loved ones are brought back home. Sarah Hayrat, Al Jazeera, Tel Aviv.
Well, Hamdah Salhut joins us live now from occupied East Jerusalem. Hamdah, so what more can you tell us then about these released Israeli captives and where they are now?
Well, as the second day of the ceasefire and captives prisoner exchange comes to a close, there were several issues and delays with the release of the captives. Nearly 7 hours after they were expected to be released at 4 p.m. local time, the captives were taken by the Red Cross to the Rafah crossing, where they were then taken into the hands of the Israeli military for identification processes. They then boarded buses to cross into Israeli territory, went to a base in southern Israel, where they were then airlifted and took other vehicles to hospitals. Now, the Israeli Health Ministry says that one of the captives who was released, a 21-year-old woman, went straight from the border to the hospital because she was she needed urgent medical care. They have since said that her condition is stable. Additionally, what we know about the third day of the expected ceasefire, the Israeli government has received a list of names for those expected to be released tomorrow at the same expected time, around 4 p.m. local. Now, for the captives that were released this evening, they all went to the hospitals and have since been reunited with their families. They will then stay in the hospitals for 1 or 2 days as they are going under medical and psychological checks. And at the moment, the Israelis welcomed the captives back, but are saying there is still cautious optimism in the air, Darren.
Yeah, Hamdah, as we saw there, thousands of people had rallied in Tel Aviv ahead of that release. What's been the reaction both in Israel and around the world?
Well, the Israeli Prime Minister releasing a statement saying that he welcomed the captives back into Israel, but that he was still working toward getting back all of the captives who are currently being held inside of the Gaza Strip. Now, internationally, there was a lot of reaction. The first is from the Prime Minister of Thailand, who welcomed the release of the 4 foreign nationals today, who are all Thai citizens. She said they were all in good health, posting on X, formerly known as Twitter, saying that there are 16 Thai nationals still left in the Gaza Strip that are currently being held by Hamas. Now, Germany has also spoken out, saying that they are extremely grateful and relieved for the return of 4 of their citizens who were also returned on Saturday. Additionally, Ireland's Prime Minister said that it is a day of, quote, enormous joy and relief as a 9-year-old Irish-Israeli girl was brought back into Israeli territory and reunited with her father. Now, remember, this is the same girl whose father was notified that she was dead as of October 7th. And then weeks later, Israeli authorities contacted him again and said that there was a mistake in the identification process at one of the morgues and that she was actually being held captive inside of Gaza.
All right,
now, as for the Israelis, Israeli society is welcoming this. They are encouraging the release of more captives. However, the Israeli army is saying that they're going to continue this war after the 4-day ceasefire comes to a close, Darren.
All right, Hamdah, Salhut, live for us there in occupied East Jerusalem. Hamdah, thank you.